everybody. My name is Bryan, and this is TANDEMKROSS, and I've got Bill Curtis here with me today, and we've got some special guests all the way from Indiana. We've got the whole Bragg family. We've got Eric, Sherry, Mackenzie, Zoey, a shooting crew from out in Indiana that I personally have watched grow up over the years. And gone from novice shooters to amazing competitors. Guys, thank you so much for being on our TANDEMKROSS TV today. We are just honored to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, it's definitely our pleasure. I wanted to have you guys on today because I think you have one of the most amazing stories out there. Of all the shooting families that we've met throughout the course. I'm really curious. Like, for me, this is almost like a superhero origin story for all of you from this perspective. I know the main competitors are Mackenzie and Zoey, but I know that it takes superhero parents to be able to be shooting parents. So how did you guys even get involved in rimfire competition?
Let me take it. My neighbor tried for a year to get me to go to a match, and I kept telling him no, and he said, once you go, you'll be hooked, and I ended up going, and I was hooked. We had an unfortunate incident where our house was robbed.
Oh, no.
And our son was there the day before. He happened to know the people that robbed it, and luckily they robbed it the next day, so there wasn't a decision to be made. So I decided right then and there that my kids were going to know how to take care of themselves if that situation come up again. And so I decided then that Zoey would be taught the right way to do it and the responsible way to do it. And so we spent a winter working on safety and learning commands, and the following year we did probably 3 matches that year, and maybe the next year. Then I think it was about 3 years later, Mackenzie wanted to go practice with us one day, and she was a natural. So we started shooting some local matches that year and went to a rimfire challenge at our local match, and they were able to meet a couple of lady sponsored shooters, and the girls said, that's what we want to do, and the rest is history. So
Wow, that's amazing. We often talk about rimfire challenge and rimfire shooting being kind of like the gateway to recognizing or utilizing our Second Amendment rights and other competitive sports as well. And it's great to see that you use that as a tool to have the girls grow up and learn gun safety and learn the proper way. And have you guys grown. I remember my very first world championships down in Fort Smith, Arkansas. Zoey and Mackenzie, you guys were so little. It was interesting to see. Zoey, you're the youngest of the family, and you were pretty young when you started. What's it like been for you to always have to compete against people who are older than you and you beat them? What is that like for an experience for you?
Well, it gives me sort of a challenge, I guess, and it shows me what I want to be and what I need to push to be, and it sort of gives me a rabbit to chase.
What was the hook for you, Mackenzie, coming in the sport? Eric said that you decided this is what you want to do. What was that hook or that moment that made you decide, yeah, I want to be a competitive shooter?
I met 2 lady shooters, and they were beating the guys, and it showed me that that's what I could do also, and they just helped me out, and then that's whenever I decided that's what I want to do.
Mackenzie, actually, I know that you had this dream. It was expressed to me by your parents that one day you wanted to shoot as well as Jessie Duff. If you could only beat her one day, that was a dream for yours. If I'm not mistaken, we were just at Georgia Nationals not too long ago, and you achieved that at least on the stage down there. tell us, how did that feel, and what did you achieve?
Whenever I beat her, like, I've been working at this, my first nationals and getting to watch her shoot. And someone actually kind of told me, like, they didn't really believe that I could do it. They sort of,
They
Well,
questioned whether
yeah.
you were able to do it.
and that pushed me to, like, practice. And whenever I did beat her, or whenever I was fortunate to place in front of her, it was an amazing feeling, but I don't think I'm done. Like, I want to go further into that and not be the top lady, but the top.
I think that's a really good strategy, and you got to have a strategy in life for sure. From that perspective, Zoey, when we know that you guys definitely have some natural talent. It's very apparent, but nobody gets to where you guys are at without some good practice. Tell us about your practice regiment and what you do to get prepped for a match.
Well, on the ride, me and Kinsey are usually asleep.
Well, we know.
But that doesn't really help us at all. But if we are awake, like towards the end of our ride to the match, that'll usually pep talk or something, and he helps us out. And
What about when you finally get to the range? Do you get there a day before? Do you look at the arrangement of targets? Do you plan out your phase?
well, we usually go and look at the targets ahead of time, and if we can practice, we do, and it just helps us get in the groove before the actual match.
Yeah, and one of the things that I love a lot about your story, is the fact that you guys didn't start with the highest end gun that you can possibly buy, and a lot of shooters either don't want to do that to start with, or maybe it's they can't afford it from that perspective. And I love the fact that you guys started with what I believe was Ruger Mark III 2245s. How many rounds have you put down range of those, and how have you kept those working all this time? And this is not a Tandem Cross plug. I'm curious, people have this perception that production guns can't get the job done, but you've proven it. How is that?
Yeah, when we shot our first Rimfire Challenge, we only had one rifle. Both used the same rifle, and after that, we realized we were going to have to get a pistol. So we bought a Ruger Light, and the first thing I started looking is what we could do to it. I didn't like the magazine safety. The magazine didn't like to drop out too well. So we got online, and this company called TANDEMKROSS had this bushing. And so we put a bushing in there, we put a cane wolf in there, and used it the rest of the year. The girls both used one gun each. The next year we bought two Target 2245s Mark IIIs to get the removable grips on them. We put a Taxol barrel on them, and then filled the guts with TK parts. And we used those parts for the entire year. The next year before Nationals, I replaced everything, thanks to TANDEMKROSS videos. If it wasn't for you guys' videos, I would not be able to touch the guns. You have taught me so much. But the guns that we just ran at Nationals, other than a firing pin, extractor, and rebound springs, still have the same parts in them that we had in before Nationals last year. And I don't think we had a single malfunction the entire run through Nationals. The guns just run great. The parts have proven themselves. I remember the first World Championship we went to. The gun was brand new, and I changed everything in it except for the mag release. And Mackenzie kept having her mag drop out, and we thought that she was hitting the button, and it turned out the one that came from the factory had a defect, and that was allowing the mag to drop. So I learned my lesson then. Now everything is TK from top to bottom.
What's your favorite tandem cross part?
Mine would have to be the victory.
What is the victory trigger done for you?
It's I've noticed that it did drop my time, and I do like how it's a straight trigger with bridges in it, so my finger goes to the quickly every time, and it helps with my trigger.
Thank you. And Zoe, do you have a favorite?
My Halo Racker. I'm hard on my guns whenever I try to get rid of my malfunction. One happens. And it makes it a lot easier to just get it done and over with and then get back to my shooting.
Wow, that's great. I appreciate definitely those kind words, and something that I always preach to our team and our sponsored competitors is that there are definitely high-end options out there, and they're definitely worth the dollars if you want to go out and you've got the budget for it. But you don't have to have that. And to be a good shooter, even if you buy those high-end options, there's a skill set that's more than shooting fast, more than shooting accurately. It's knowing your platform, maintaining it, and being able to repair it on the fly. I've seen just as many high-end guns at that safe table with people scratching their heads as I've seen with standard or production guns. And I love the fact that you guys have built this all on production guns and your Rugers. I know Ruger would be pleased as punch to hear that story for sure. You mentioned Taxol, and I do want to give them a little shout out here. I know that you are sponsored competitors for Tandem Cross, but your primary sponsor is Tactical Solutions. Mackenzie, how did you achieve that jersey? What did it feel like when you first got that jersey received at home?
Well, I know Chet actually contacted us to see my picture on Facebook having Tactical Solutions Barrel. And I don't know exactly what happened, but they're telling me it was just like, well, like I'm now a sponsor to it, and I was in a meeting and I know that I was running an awesome
Whether you guys like it or not, I think at this point in the industry, you guys are definitely celebrities, and I don't think you might realize this yet, but there's a lot of kids out there that are looking up to you, just like you were looking up to Jessie Duff and saying, I want to shoot like the Bragg girls. That's cool. Zoe, what kind of advice would you give to other youngsters coming up who want to be competitive shooters and want to become really increase their skill level? What kind of advice would you give them?
Well, your first match, you're not going to win it. So you might as well just enjoy the time being at the range and just enjoy the people around you and feeling that you know that you don't have to worry about forgetting something. You know that somebody's going to have your back. They're not going to tell you no. And when you see those more experienced shooters shooting, you know what you can become, and that pushes you to want to be there and to want to be your best.
Yeah, sound advice, right? You can look up and see what others are doing and use that. Instead of saying, oh, I'll never win, you can look at them and say, that's what I can become if I keep trying and I keep applying myself from that perspective. I love that. You definitely have to reach up. So, Mackenzie, I know that you've been dabbling a little bit, I think Zoe too, in centerfire world. Do you think you'll ever make the full transition over to centerfire, or will rimfire always have a special place in your heart?
I don't think that I'll ever totally switch over to centerfire because I just love rimfire so much. So, whenever, I'll probably switch mostly over to centerfire, but whenever I go to big matches and stuff, I'll get my rimfire.
For you, when you're competing, what are the differences for you between rimfire and centerfire competitions? Do you change the way you prepare? Would you change how you approach the competitions?
Well, with centerfire, it's rolling and a lot that we that, well, speeder pull is very important in center fire. And so I do more dry fire with center fire than I do with my fire. So that's probably what the main difference is. I think.
Recoil management comes into play a lot with center fire, that you don't have to deal with a rim fire. And there's some safety aspects. You're drawing from the hip. You bring in a whole other batch of safety issues that you have to master.
You know, one of the things that I think is really interesting, when you go to competitions, I think a lot of people assume that Mackenzie and Zoey are sisters. I mean, you guys spend so much time together, you look a lot alike, you get the same last name, but I know that you aren't actually sisters. Eric, if you don't mind, I know it's kind of personal, would you mind sharing the story behind that? Because I think it's something special.
Yeah, would have been 8 years ago, April 15th, this last April. Mackenzie's dad, my little brother Joe, got come to work that day. We have a family business and 3 brothers that work there, and he said he had an upset stomach, and he ended up he collapsed at work and went into septic shock, and it turned out he had gotten a blood infection. Got in his organs. He was a week after his 30th birthday, healthy as a horse. He was raising Mackenzie on his own at the time, and we lost him. And, you know, him and Mackenzie, everything was softball at the time. And so I went and I started coaching Mackenzie and took Zoey over to that school to play on those teams. But Bill always wanted her to be a country girl. And we've got a target right here from 2009 when he bought her a gun for Christmas. And he had wrote her a nice little note on it and framed it and hung it on his wall. And he said, "My country girl, so proud of you for so many reasons." Mackenzie's first target, December 25th, 2009. And so my little brother would have done it for me. And I decided then, and also our middle brother Aaron, that we were going to fulfill his dreams with his daughter. And you know, we did softball for 3 years, but I don't think it was the same without her daddy. And one day we decided to go practice at an indoor range, and she said, "Can I go?" And we lined up 5 targets, and I said, "Go slow, just make your hits, the speed will come." And she went bang, 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 bang. And I said, "That's great, but you gotta slow down." And she said, "But I hit them all." And we went up there, and she had hit them all. And I said, "Beginner's luck, slow down." And bang, 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 bang. And she hit them all. And I said, "You're going with us." And that literally, I think 6 months later, she for tactical solutions and starting to win matches. And you know, I couldn't be more proud of her, and I know how proud her dad is of her. And he wasn't with her long, but he built a great foundation for her. And I get to see my brother every time I look at her. And you know, as much as we miss him, and as much as things probably would be different if he was here, I know he's very proud of his little girl. And I'm very proud of his little girl, although she's a young lady now. But that's how it started. And you know, this last weekend we were at a match, and everybody was saying, "Where's your sister? Where's your sister?" And I couldn't be more proud of these girls. There's an age difference of 3 years, but I can tell you that they have never had an argument on any of the trips we've gone to the ring. They laugh, they joke, they tease, but they don't argue, and they support each other. And Zoey has had to get her butt kicked every match by Mackenzie, but she still loves her to death, and she's getting there. And Mackenzie's got about another year, because Zoe's actually a year and a half ahead of Mackenzie on time. So another year, and then there's going to be a pretty good rivalry there. But the one thing that'll never change is the love they have for each other and the respect that they have for each other.
Wow, it's a tragic yet heartwarming story at the same time. We often say here when we take a look at our company meetings and stuff, we always say that when you see the word problem, you have to replace it with the word opportunity. And you've done that, right? There's a challenge in your life, and I'm very sorry for your loss to lose your dad. But you've changed that problem into an opportunity to rise up. When I think about my sons and my family, I always tell my sons that your job is to be a better version of me. And from far as I can tell, you're doing a great job of honoring your dad. And I'm proud of you. I know he would be proud of you. And Eric, you are absolutely honoring your brother. Thank you so much for sharing that story with us. So looking towards the future, we're full swing on into the shooting season. What are the next big matches for you guys?
The World Championship.
Yeah, the World Speed in the month.
And that's the one down in Florida. Talladega. So Talladega, Florida, World Speed Shoot. If you guys want to go and meet the Braggs, they're going to be down there. And I'll tell you, you'll really enjoy sitting and talking with these guys. They've always got something interesting to say, and you'll always enjoy watching these young ladies shoot as well. And then for World Championships in Missouri this year, can we expect to see you guys out there?
Our Worlds? Yeah, we just signed up. I haven't seen them yet, but we just signed up.
Oh, did I spoil the surprise?
Oh, no, Kenzie doesn't live with us, so I hadn't seen her until tonight, but yeah, we literally just signed up last night, and we're actually in a great squad with a lot of young kids. So it's kind of the junior super squad in a lot of ways as far as great kids.
Mm-hmm. Eric, before we get too far along, one of the things that I'd like to give you an opportunity to do, I noticed you've got a t-shirt on there. Is that a local business that you deal with? What do these guys do for you?
Yeah, this is In-Laws and Outlaws Gun Shop. This one is actually from his shop in Marco Island, Florida that he bought last year, but he's from Gas City, Miles Leffler, and he's the outlaw. And the in-laws are John and Vicky Gould and Miles' wife Amanda. And they were the first sponsor. They stepped up and he said, "Let me help out Zoey." And he has been unbelievable in the support that they've given us. They gave us a place to stay when we were down in Florida.
Pictures in their shop.
Yeah, what's that?
Our pictures in their shop.
Yeah, they hung the girls' pictures up in the shop, and they just, when I need something, I know I can make a phone call. And when things were tough a couple of years ago and ammo was hard to find, he found us ammo at a good price, and he's always there when we need him.
Is there anything that you guys would like to tell the world?
The only thing I'd say is if you're thinking about going to a range, shoot, do it. A lot of people think that, they're going to a gun range, just wild, wild west. And it couldn't be further from the truth. Safety is issue number one at a match. And fun is issue number two. And you won't meet better people than what you're going to meet at the gun range. You can be competing against somebody for a championship, and if your gun goes down, there's a good chance they're going to offer you their backup gun or their primary gun for that matter. And I just wish more of these kids could understand how important it is to exercise their Second Amendment right. Because if you don't have that right, you don't have any rights. And You know, it's so important that this next generation carries this on, because it will only take a generation to lose. And so I guess that would be the number one thing is, if there's a lot of kids out there that don't like softball, that don't like basketball or football, get them off the video games and get them to the range.
Yeah, I have to second that. I've been to countless matches, and I have to say that just the reception, the quality of people that come to the matches is just unbelievable. It blew me away. I mean, it's no secret I didn't come from this industry, but I'm glad I'm here, and I'm glad that I was able to meet great people like you guys.
Yeah, yeah, thanks for everything you guys do. I mean, Jake works his tail off at the matches. Everybody works their tail off at the shop, and there's no secret. We've been fans of yours from the very first time, and I think the very first time we met Jake was down at Nationals, our first one, and he treated us like he'd known us for years, and we're big believers in you guys, and these kids couldn't do what they do without your support and your support of these matches. So thank you all very much.
Oh, you're more than welcome. Well, YouTube, you've had an opportunity here to meet the Braggs, Eric, Sherry, and our superstars here, Mackenzie and Zoey. Excellent kids, excellent shooters, rising stars in the shooting competitive sports. So as you go to these rimfire matches, keep an eye out for the Braggs, shake their hands and get to know them. You won't be disappointed. And don't forget to like and subscribe our video on our channel. We're going to be producing a lot more content all around the rimfire sports and parts and accessories and other celebrities and stars. And we want to hear in the comments below about the type of content you would like to see. If there's somebody you'd like to see come on Tandem Cross TV and share their story or talk about their product, let us know and we'll work really hard to make that happen for you. Until then, see you next time.